Hello and welcome to BBC World News. 3 Iranian boats have tried to intercept a British oil tanker near the Strait of Hormuz in the Persian Gulf, a strategically important passage in the oil and gas trade. The UK's Ministry of Defence said the Iranian boats, believed to belong to the Revolutionary Guards, asked the oil tanker to stop in Iranian waters close by, but withdrew after a British warship was positioned between them and the oil tanker and a warning was issued. Iran has denied any encounter between its forces and foreign ships in the last 24 hours. The story first emerged from the US late on Wednesday evening. Our North America correspondent Peter Bowes reports.
Growing tensions in the Persian Gulf. When Royal Marines helped officials in Gibraltar seize an Iranian supertanker last week, Tehran said it was a form of piracy and that a British oil tanker should be seized if the Iranian ship is not released. It was suspected of carrying oil from Iran to Syria in breach of EU sanctions.
من به انگلیسی‌ها میگم شما آغازگر ناامنی هستید.
You, Britain, are the initiator of insecurity, and you will realise the consequences later. Now you are so hopeless that when one of your tankers wants to move in the region, you have to bring your frigates to escort it, because you are scared.
Less than a week later, there's been a confrontation in the Persian Gulf that looks like retaliation. Armed Iranian boats attempted to seize a British tanker before backing off when confronted by a warship. No shots were fired. In a statement, the US Defense Department said it was aware of reports of harassment and attempts to interfere with the passage of the UK-flagged merchant vessel British Heritage near the Strait of Hormuz. It added that threats to international freedom of navigation required an international solution. There had been growing calls from Iran for reciprocal action after the detention of its supertanker off Gibraltar. And whether Tehran was willing to take action was put to its ambassador to the UN earlier this week.
First of all, the ship which was seized, that is a clear case of piracy. That is a clear case of violation of international law. That ship was moving in international waterways. And the destination was Europe, not Syria. I'm not in a position to say what exactly we are going to do, but the sooner the Brits get rid of this problem, I think the better for everybody.
Last month, 2 oil tankers, one Norwegian-owned, the other Japanese, were attacked in the Gulf of Oman. The US blamed Iran. This latest incident will only intensify the strain on Anglo-Iranian relations. Peter Bowes, BBC News.
Well, I just want to take you back to our top story now, that incident in the Strait of Hormuz. Well, the UK's Ministry of Defence has been giving more details, and our correspondent Simon Jones is at the MOD in central London. So, Simon, what's been said?
Well, the Ministry of Defence have issued a statement. They say they are deeply concerned about what happened and they're calling on Iran to de-escalate tensions in the region. Now, according to officials here at the MOD in London, there was a British tanker which was making its way in waters off the coast of Iran when it was approached by 3 Iranian boats. Now, we're told the Iranian boats were trying to get the British tanker to change its course and come to a halt. But the British tanker was actually being accompanied by a frigate from the Royal Navy. And at that point, the Royal Navy stepped in, reportedly training guns on these 3 Iranian boats and telling them in no uncertain terms that they had to leave the area. And at that point, the Iranian boats obeyed the orders and sailed off. But this is really a sign of the growing tensions between London and Tehran. What happened here follows an incident a week ago where an Iranian supertanker was seized just off Gibraltar in an incident involving Royal Marines from Britain. Now, Britain said this supertanker was heading towards Syria, carrying oil, which would have been against EU sanctions, and that's why it stepped in. But in return, Tehran accused London of piracy on the seas, and Tehran said there would be consequences, there would be some sort of retaliation. Now, it appears this incident we're talking about this morning is Iran firing a warning shot that things cannot carry on as they are. But the Ministry of Defence here agreeing with that, saying the situation needs to be sorted out, and the ball is very much in the court of Iran to do that.
Yeah, and on Iran, we're in a strange situation, Simon, aren't we here? Because we've got more details from the MOD that you've just outlined, but from Iran, from FARS, the semi-official news agency, a denial that this encounter took place.
Well, I think this shows the war of words. Certainly, we've had this both from the Ministry of Defence and also officials in the US have been briefing overnight about this incident. So we have that from those two sources. Of course, they are allies. Iran would say, well, it's hardly surprising that they're giving this story, giving their version of events. But it's certainly, according to the Ministry of Defence here, this appears to be a pretty major incident where you have had the military having to step in to ensure that a British tanker carrying oil could continue on its journey safely, and that's why there is deep concern with officials in the building behind me here in London this morning that this situation doesn't ratchet out of control.
OK, Simon, thanks very much for bringing us up to date there. Simon Jones at the MOD.